Welcome to the Vault Excel. Thank you for joining me. This is a two-part, second discussion pertaining to the Wendy Williams documentary that has been released by Lifetime. Different opinions pertaining to what is going on with her care, the conservatorship, guardianship of Miss Williams. We're going to discuss that commentary during this live stream, and then I'll be back on shortly after this to have a two-part live pertaining to breaking news. Thank you for joining me. And if you'd like to donate to this great network, $BigAngie129, Cash App, stickers and chats are always welcome during the live stream. Thank you so very kindly. Thank you. Okay, so let's see here. So I get a better angle here. Okay, thank you so much. All right, everybody. Updates. I'd like to send my most sincerest condolences to Mr. Robert Booker, Dr. Robert Booker, African-American male who passed away. His services are currently going on right now here in Knoxville, Tennessee. He passed away on February 22nd at the age of 88. So my condolences to the family of Dr. Robert Booker. He was a civil rights activist and a well-known staple here in our community. So my condolences to the Booker family. That's my first update. There's also some information coming out pertaining to Mr. Sean Combs. Someone else has filed a $30 million sexual assault lawsuit against the producer. Latest update. And the other update I have is 2 men have been found guilty of murder in Jam Master Jay's killing. That is the latest update that I have. Let's talk about this alleged diagnosis of Wendy Williams. Thank you for joining me. Get those thumbs up, everybody. It has been said by her son that she has alcohol-induced dementia. And also has been mentioned about this frontotemporal dementia. And I'm going to go over those briefly, and then we'll just discuss what you think is going on, her care, how she got herself in this situation, so on and so forth. Frontotemporal dementia is caused by a group of disorders that gradually damage the brain's frontal and temporal lobes. These damages cause changes in thinking and behaviors. Symptoms can include unusual behaviors, emotional problems, trouble communicating, challenges with work, difficulty with walking. Frontotemporal dementia, FTD, sometimes called frontotemporal disorders, is rare and tends to occur at a younger age than other dementias. About 60% of people with frontotemporal dementia are 45 to 64 years old. FTD is progressive, meaning symptoms get worse over time. Some people live more than 10 years after diagnosis, while others live less than 2 years after they are diagnosed. High levels of care, such as 24-hour care, may be needed over time. Once the person is diagnosed, it is important to plan ahead for financial, legal, and care arrangements that may be needed as the disease progresses. So here are the types of the frontotemporal dementia. Behavioral variant frontotemporal dementia, BVFTD, is the most common frontotemporal disorder. It causes changes in personality, behavior, emotions, and judgment. Then there's primary progressive aphasia. Involves changes in ability to communicate, speak, read, write, and understand what others are saying. And then the last one is movement disorders. This happens when the parts of the brain that control movement are affected. There are 2 types of rare movement disorders associated with FTD. It's corticobasal syndrome and progressive supranuclear palsy. Other movement-related disorders include frontotemporal dementia with Parkinsonism and frontotemporal dementia with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. FTD, ALS. Symptoms can vary among these movements. That's what I have. If you need verification, alzheimers.gov is the source. What is going on with Miss Williams? There is just a lot to try to digest from the information that has been released. We have commentary from the son. We have commentary from the niece. We have commentary from Miss Shell, her childhood friend. She spoke to Cuomo on News Nation. We have not heard from the conservator, the guardian, Miss Marissi, Sabrina, Caucasian female. She's a lawyer. She's also been sued for $30 million alongside some other entities for fraud of a man who had a settlement in the millions, the low millions, and he was trying to get payments and get out of a conservatorship as well, a guardianship. Something about a lawyer. Somebody reached out to him saying his lawyer wasn't doing something appropriate. So that entity with this Miss Sabrina person and some other people got together to build paperwork up. And this man had been fighting for years to get out of it. He had a doctor's statement saying there was nothing wrong with him, that he was a functioning individual that did not need any care or papers to say he could not be on his own. So when you watch the documentary, you will see for yourself that she was not doing well. Now, mind you, this documentary went on for a year, 22, 23. So you're entitled to your opinion of what you think is wrong with her, what you thought, who was doing right by her. But it's obvious she was not a functioning adult. She needed care. As you hear in this information by Alzheimer's.gov, eventually the person will need 24/7 care. And when you watch the documentary, you can see that Miss Williams needed care. She needed someone to make sure she's eating, staying hydrated, also some type of schedule, exercise, because all those things are conducive to maintaining a healthy lifestyle. And I think most of us know this. You need to eat properly. You need to not imbibe excessively in drugs, alcohol, foods, heavy foods, sweets, greasy foods. I mean, we all know this. When you have health problems, it can trigger other things to go wrong. So if you're not taking care of yourself, it's common sense. You're not taking care of yourself. You're not going to the doctor. You're not eating right. You're not drinking water. You need water. Stay hydrated. You're going to eventually get something else is going to go wrong with you. And then that's not counting what she already had wrong with her, which we learned years ago. She has Graves' disorder. So you topple what's already wrong: excessive drinking, drug use, not taking care of thyself. Now we have alleged these diagnoses. We don't really know what's the truth to the diagnosis. The son said something about her brain wasn't functioning, and this is what caused. This came from the alcohol-induced drinking excessively. So one could wonder, can drinking cause you to lose your memory, not know where you are, become disoriented? Well, possibly so. I mean, it is a substance, just like drugs. They've mentioned that about using narcotics. Excessive use of narcotics can cause you not to have your memory. You don't remember things. And I heard a woman speaking on a news program saying that she had a sister who, used drugs. And at some point she stopped remembering certain things that were important, certain events, family events she could not recall. And I suspect this is also an issue that transpired with Miss Williams. When we think about the past, who Wendy Williams was before all of this got out, drug use, divorce, so on and so forth, she was a very harsh spectacle on TV, which was her choice. How she chose to navigate her TV show, her wording, her commentary was her choice. And we all have to own what we say and do publicly and even behind closed doors. And you will see some of that personality play out during the documentary. And as you hear with this frontal temporal disorder, the people can become combative, argumentative. Well, I think this was her personality beforehand. Okay? This was her personality beforehand, because there are many instances in the documentary. You'll see she seems lucid about her faculties, what she wants, don't want, take me here, drop me off here, do this, do this. I think she was that way before. That's my personal opinion. I think she was bossy. wanted people to do certain things a certain way before, and now with the disorder or whatever it is, it's just exacerbated. But the harshness, her tone, her tongue, the things she said about a lot of famous people, celebrities, were not taken favorably for the people. A lot of people did not like things she said, okay? And I think back to a certain rapper, I don't have to call his name out, but he had very harsh words about her, things she had said, I think about his wife or someone. And he was not happy. And so I wonder how he feels now, knowing, that she's ill and she's in treatment care, allegedly. Family members saying she's doing better, sounds better. The son, the niece, and family members saying she sounds better. And then Mr. Will, the manager, said he had seen her or something and that she looked okay or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what's the truth to all the latest information. But that certain rapper, and I'm not judging him at all because we feel what we feel at that time. It's not to say that we can't change our mind about a person down the road. It's not to say we can't forgive them. But how does he feel about the state that Miss Williams is in now? How does he feel about her? Does he feel like, hey, life's a B. You get what you get in life. I don't feel anything for her. And there may be some people who feel that way. That's why I asked the question during my live stream last night, is this karma for her? Because as I said, you have to stand account for the things you do and you say. And naturally, there are going to always be people who are not going to be in agreement with what you say. You can say it in the most delicate way. I don't like this person. I don't care for this person. I don't like what they said. I don't like how they act. And then there'll always be somebody that will condone the behavior, condone how they act. And that some people say, well, they don't treat me that way. They don't talk to me that way. So is this karma? And some may say this is a cruel thing to ask, but we have seen the behavior of many people, and then later down the road, they have bad luck, tremendous bad luck. And when you watch what happened in that documentary, that's bad luck at its finest. Bad behavior all the way around, even the people around her, watching her be in this situation and somebody not saying, hey, we need to talk to this lady, this guardian, where are you? So is this karma? All the ugly things this woman has said about people, celebrities, very harsh tones, any other sins we don't know about, and retribution came to town. Because sometimes we can look at our own lives and say, damn, what did I do to deserve this? What did I say to deserve this? I'm sure many of us have questioned our own lives when things went awry, bad luck happened, something happened unexpected, or you expecting the worst. Did you ever look back and say, damn, did I do something to deserve this? How did I get myself in this predicament? We know that a lot of that's probably wrong with her could possibly be from her own doing. Common sense will tell you, you cannot drink in excess. You can't eat in excess. You can't use substances in excess. You can't assume that something good is going to come from getting drunk every day, getting high every day, occasionally getting high, because you don't know what your body will digest properly. It's an assumption, I'll be all right. But as you see with her, she wasn't all right, okay? She wasn't all right. And what bothered me in watching the documentary is the blatant, just nobody's saying anything about the guardian. You can't be over someone's money, but not be over the human. And I won't doubt this is just another way to get this woman's pocketbook and dwindle it down. Because if you're being sued over here or the past, and I hear that lawsuit was dropped, don't know what's else going on with that lawsuit, that past lawsuit against Miss Sabrina Marissi, but nonetheless, that's a bad look for you. So you wanted to block this documentary, Miss Sabrina. You wanted to block it because you knew how it would look, that you would not be in the documentary. You would not be visible. You're not heard talking to her on the phone. You're not stopping by to check on her. So you have no business being over any type of conservatorship, guardianship, when you are not visible to see about the person who you're over their money. And for all I know, you have been doing all type of nefarious things that we don't know about. For all I know, you're writing checks to yourself. I don't know what you're doing. But you blocking the documentary was ridiculous because it has been said that all of you all, publicists, managers, you, family, whomever, were all in agreement to the documentary because there are all of you in it except for you, Miss Sabrina. And that's what's baffling. Everyone who allegedly agreed to the documentary beforehand were in the documentary except for you. You're the only one that has a problem. Wanted it blocked. A judge agreed to let the documentary air. You didn't want it air because you didn't want people to see you in a negative light because you've already been in a negative, atrocious light already in attempting to steal funds from a man who won a lawsuit. And this is what happens with people. You don't pay attention to your pocketbook and the people coming around you trying to tell you about this and that and what you need to do legally. You need to be very careful of anybody trying to tell you what to do and you just came into money. You need to be careful with anybody trying to tell you what to do about your livelihood, your estate, because people will steal from you and you don't have nothing but $50 in the bank. This happens to regular people all the time, this guardianship business. You hear all the ugly stories of people going to judges to say, well, my mother's not well, my brother's not well, I need to be the payee of their check, this and this. And you hear those people take their money, they don't check on them, they don't pay their bills, they're behind in their rent, they don't have food, toiletries. And I asked all those questions last night. Please check out that previous video because I go more into detail about the disorder and the conservatorship so you can get a better understanding of what the allegations are against this Sabrina person and what is allegedly going on with Miss Williams. Today, I'm just here to just chop it up, how it came to be she got in this predicament and the people who stood idly by. But you see a lot of this going on in life in general. There are always people upholding foolishness, okay? Foolishness. People running around like little rats, nibbling on cheese to get a couple dollars in their pocket. You've seen this with R. Kelly. You've seen this with a lot of famous people. These people really don't like you. They don't have respect for you, but they're getting something out of it. And that's what famous people need to understand. You're thinking these people like you. They know that you don't even have respect for yourself. Let's keep it real. You're walking around talking crazy to people, cursing people out, ordering people around. You can't really think that somebody loves you and like you and regards you in a high light. How could you think that? You don't know how to talk to people. You're paying them to do a job. And you heard the driver say that. I just drive. And she talked very ugly to him when they were trying to go get the vapes and everything. And they kept telling her, oh, this is the same store we go to all the time. She was combative, argumentative. That shows you how bad her mind is. But she can remember to go by the Wendy Williams show, the Sherry Shepherd show, because that's what she did. She was a talk show host. So her mind remembers that. And you will learn this if you've ever dealt with people with dementia, Alzheimer's. They remember what they last did in life. May not remember your name, may not remember the person's name standing over there in the corner, but they remember what they did last. So if you were a school teacher, you now have dementia. You will 9 times out of 10 talk about when you taught school, what you did when you graduated from college. You may be 80, 90 years old, but that's what sticks out in your memory. Oh, when I went to school, I went to Yale, I got a degree, I taught school, blah, blah, blah. Because I had a client who did that many years ago. She regressed back to college and teaching. Okay? So that's what you hear with Wendy Williams in that documentary. I got to go by the studio because that's what her memory, digests up here. She remembers her parents' name, which I found phenomenal. When she was talking to Black China, she told her parents' name very affectionately. She remembered who Black China was, which was a good thing. But she couldn't remember the name of, I believe, the publicist. And that's somebody she was seeing often. And I wondered also too, did the publicist live in New York or LA? Because I thought I heard somebody mentioning Michelle saying, yeah, such and such lives out here with me in LA. And I thought, well, who is that she's speaking of? Is that the publicist or whoever? You can't even understand what you saw in that documentary. It's buffoonery. Because somebody has to stand in the gap for her, whether we like her or not, because it's really not our business what's really going on with Wendy Williams. It's just the latest hot topic in the YouTube queue and on the news. But nonetheless, you see the breakdown of a human being, the mind, the physical being. And there are people who aided that bullshit. Let's keep it real. There are people who aided her fall. Now, where she is today, I don't know. But I'm here basically to talk about the documentary, what was seen in the documentary, and what was tolerated and supported, which was foolishness. No visible sight of the guardian. Past lawsuit of $30 million against the same lady and other entities. She attempting to block the documentary, going to court, waiting all these months, a year or more, and you want to wait 2 days or so before it's released to the public to block it. You didn't want it to air because you knew it would put you in a bad light. And 9 times out of 10, a decent judge will see the documentary and see that you were not visible in her life and take you off her guardianship and hand it to somebody else. We learn of the son allegedly being accused of charging $100,000 on her American Express card, I believe. He said he had consent from her, the mother. She has a lavish lifestyle. He paid for doctor's visits, personal flights. Well, what I don't understand about that is the obvious. Why spend all this lavish money because she was visiting you all in Miami, the family, when you knew your mother wasn't working? You also knew that your mother was paying alimony payments to your father, I'm sure, at that time. So ask yourself how that makes any sense. The fact that allegedly you were living in a $2 million home, don't know if that was a condo, house, whatever. Do you really need a $2 million house and you don't have a substantial amount of income to sustain the house? You see, this is where the buffoonery comes in. And he was very stoic in his interview with the news about it, really looking about like a deer in headlights like his mother. I'm going to keep it real. She had no job, so it made no sense for you to be spending that kind of money. And we don't know what you bought. Only American Express and the people who work the counter in the store knows what you were charging on that lady's credit card. Nobody has seen the diagnosis that you got from the doctors. You should have got that in writing from the doctor. I need a printout of this diagnosis. See, young people aren't about business. A lot of young people are not about business because you got to be taught to be about business. You know there's something going on with your mother. You should get that shit in writing. So when somebody comes to you talking crazy, hey, I got the documents to show the doctors I took her to, and this is their diagnosis of my mother. Now, naturally, you may not have no verification to say, oh, yeah, she told me to book this airline ticket, or she told me to go buy her a Gucci handbag, or blah, blah, blah. But $100,000, that is excessive. And I know wealthy people spend that kind of money. But the point is, she was not working. And you should have known better. I don't care if your mother said she wanted this, she wanted that. Now, we hear that she gained at least 30 or 40 pounds while she was on that trip to Miami visiting her family. But I won't doubt that she also was probably still drinking as well. And we know that alcohol will put weight on you. Okay? So long as you are eating, stay woke. But you're not going to put on any weight when you're just drinking and you're not eating. Well, we learned that in the documentary. Whoever was filming told the niece she didn't have food in the refrigerator. Now, you'll see Will opening the refrigerator at one point, and you see some drinks on the side of the door, but we didn't get to see inside of the refrigerator. Was that true? She had no food. So that's why she looks so frail. Because there's no way you're going to make me understand this tall woman weighing 138 pounds was getting nutrients in her body. She was not. So, Sabrina, that's where you come in. Why weren't you buying the lady groceries? Why weren't you sending groceries over to her house once a week? We hear that she would order food, ask for food from you, had to always get permission, and the food would come hours later. We hear Michelle telling this version to the news, to Mr. Cuomo, her childhood friend. I don't think the lady's lying. She said she was ordering food and sending food from Los Angeles, California to New York City. Do you know how ridiculous that looks? You are over a multi-million-dollar figure, and she can't even get food sent to her house in a timely fashion. Because somebody should have been going to her house with groceries weekly, toiletries. Now we have to ask that question. Was she bathing? Did you send somebody to do her hair? Did she go out to get her hair done, get her wigs fixed, something? Because she dolled herself up a lot. She put makeup on. So we knew she could put makeup on. Also saw her walk up the same stairs that she said she didn't like walking up. But she made it up those stairs, didn't hear that she failed. So possibly there's things she could still do for herself. But I was curious to her hygiene. Was she bathing regularly? Was she taking showers? Because putting on makeup and putting on a Gucci outfit or a Fendi outfit doesn't mean that she took a bath. See, those are questions you're not getting any answers to. I ask all the questions that nobody likes to ask. Because the documentary is, to me, is just like court. The district attorney, the defense, they ask certain questions, but then they don't really go deep down in the belly of the beast. The producers should have said, while filming, when was the last time you had a bath? Why not? Not to disrespect her, but to get an idea. Because the producers have also spoke publicly now that had they known she had dementia and she was in that state, they would have stopped filming, but they said she consented, so they continued to film the documentary. Some people are saying this is exploitation. Please take the polls on my channel, and we will go over those polls during this live stream to your answers pertaining to the documentary. Hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you for joining me. But this is a diabolical story because right now she's away out of sight. You don't really know what type of care she's getting. Is she better? Has she gained weight? Is she eating properly? How long is this guardianship going to go on? Because as you heard in the commentary about you last night, this can go on till she leaves here. And then somebody will be fighting for that money. And that's where the shit gonna hit the fan. How much money does she have? Okay. She said in the documentary she knew how much money she had at that time, of course. I got a feeling she probably don't have nowhere near what she thought she had. And then that's coming from the mind of somebody that is, at that time was not well. Husband, let me talk to you for a second. You cheated on your wife with a younger woman. The news got out to the public that you had bought her a house. One of those entities opened the mailbox and found mail with your name, Mr. Hunter, on it to verify you stayed at this location. We learned from Wendy Williams that you had purchased a house 9 miles from where you and she and the family were living at the time. It became national news about you and this woman. Pictures came out, people taking pictures of you two together. So you didn't give two F's about your wife, your son, the image. You also worked for the studio, the show. So you got a paycheck. She says during the documentary, she fired you when she filed for divorce, which she should have done. How the hell are you going to now go before a judge and tell a judge you're broke? Because I also saw a YouTube video where the girlfriend has spoken out talking about she's broke. Don't nobody give a fuck. That's a personal problem. You went before a judge talking about you broke, you can't afford your bills, and you want more money from Wendy Williams. And the judge told you to go get a job. Exactly. You need to get off your lazy ass and go get a job. You see, this is what happens with people with money. And you don't have to necessarily be a Wendy Williams. You could be just a regular person making $50,000, making $30,000. So long as you start giving money out your pocket, you're going to always have people to come beg. It's just the way it is all the time. Not talking about once in a while, every blue moon, somebody's asking you for money. I'm talking about regularly. You will always be the guinea pig. And I won't doubt she was giving out money to different people. Family, associates, friends, people who she hired to do things for her, publicists, managers, driver. That shit adds up. Okay? It adds up. And you, sir, have the audacity to go before a judge and ask for money. She doesn't owe you anything. Really? Because see, what I would have done, I would have paid you out. I would have took most of my money before going to court. I would have put it in offshore accounts. Oh, yeah, I've been that dirty because it's mine. It's mine. You didn't help build shit. Because she was already in radio before she met you, I'm assuming. So you didn't build her. And frankly, I didn't see that you did anything substantial while you were married to Wendy Williams. So everybody was hustling Wendy Williams. Because this is what happens when you have money. It's double juggling at best. Yes, street terminology. You were hustling your wife. You went and got a mistress. She was hustling you off of Wendy Williams' money. And then you hear Wendy Williams saying, oh, yeah, I went to the house, look, spray painted something. She didn't tell us what that was. I was shocked she admitted that. But the point is, she's like, oh, this 32-year-old, she's come up right off of my money. And that's a hard thing to accept, that you're married to somebody who don't do shit, and they've gone out here and got another human and sleeping and slumbering with them, bought them a house off my money. Hell yeah, I'd be mad too. But what I wouldn't have done was let it break me down to be drinking, getting high, and all that shit. But everybody's different. And there's nothing wrong with grieving and mourning somebody, because many people mourn and grieve living creatures every day. And that's the worst type of mourning and grieving, is when their ass are walking around with 2 damn feet and they ain't dead. You grieve, you mourn, you stomp, you cry, and you get that shit out your system. And then you rise up and you keep it moving. But she didn't do that. And I believe that is why she's in the state she was in at the time of the documentary, because she didn't move on. I do believe she was imbibing and drinking while filming the show, while having health problems, and one thing exacerbated the other. And what you saw in that documentary was the fall of a woman who became defeated because of a jacked up ass Negro. And I think we all know this. Wasn't about no health issues. She had health problems, yes. But if you're imbibing and drinking and getting high, and you're also depressed, that is not going to help your current state of whatever the hell you got going on health-wise. She let that man take her down there. And then he has the nerve to go before a judge talking about he wants some damn more money. He can't sustain this lifestyle. Well, motherfucker, you wouldn't have had the lifestyle if it wasn't for Wendy Williams. Just the audacity. And that little hooker, let me talk to you for a second. What you got to say about what the fuck's going on with Wendy Williams? Not a damn thing. You broke. Well, I suggest you go get your ass a job. Because that's what you all weren't planning on. You thought that money was just going to keep coming in. You think a judge was just going to keep having Wendy Williams pay you all a salary? You weren't married to Wendy Williams' little girl. You were the mistress living off another woman's money. You ought to felt like a fucking fool. Because you have to know, because you're stupid like Mr. Hunter, you got to be able to sustain a certain lifestyle. You people kill me, go out here and rob Peter, Paul, whatever, get your little house, condo, and you think it's going to take care of itself. You think the Maseratis and the Teslas and all that, they're going to sustain themselves. No, boo-boo. You got to put gas in the car, got to pay light bill, water bill, all that. Got to pay taxes on that house. You had a nice size house. You didn't make enough to pay the taxes. And 9 times out of 10, he had the house in his name off of Wendy Williams' money. So you still are stupid. Because when you were living in that house, did you make sure the house was in your name, little girl? He would have to been a fool to go buy a house and put your name on it, not knowing if you were really genuine. But he's been with you a while. But this is what I'm going to see probably down the road. He gonna leave your little ass, or you gonna leave him, because everybody was hustling somebody. He was hustling Wendy, and you were hustling him. And now he's crying. He don't have no money. He's broke. Allegedly, a video says you crying and moaning. I didn't open it up because I wasn't even about to environment that foolishness. I don't give a damn what you're going through. Best you and Mr. Hunter go get y'all a damn job. How about that? You couldn't have thought that money was going to keep coming in to Mr. Hunter from Wendy Williams. At some point, there's a cutoff to where she would not have to keep paying him alimony. So you all just thought, okay, he's getting, I think it was $250,000 a month or so that Wendy Williams was paying the husband. Don't know how long this was supposed to go on, but there was going to be a cutoff date. That's why she should have done a settlement. Now, I don't know if that $250,000 was the settlement. She paid that so much for so many years. I would have gave you the so many millions and walked away and wouldn't give a fuck about what happened to you. Because what would have happened, you'd have got that money, lump sum or not, and you would have spent it all, and you still would have been trying to find a way to hustle some more money out of a woman that you are not married to, because you are a bum. And you have shown you're a bum. You're showing that you never loved her. You never cared for her. And you used her while being married to her. You were paid a salary working for the show. So you really didn't have no reason to be asking her for no money. And I don't understand why a judge would give you money when you had a salary at the time while you two were married. Now, she cut you off once she found out you were cheating on her. I wouldn't give you shit. I wouldn't have gave you shit. I'd have held out as long as I could. And I can tell you what, most of my money would have been in offshore accounts, and I'd have went into court with a couple of coins in that bank account. Now, it's up to the judge if he wanted to prove where the fuck my money went. Well, ma'am, you got this, and this, and well, how you living? I don't know. Ask him. He's the one cheating. He's the one got a mistress. He's the one bought her a house. Why don't you ask him where the money went? That's what I told the judge. Don't ask me nothing. Ask him. I wouldn't have had nothing in my bank account. As soon as I found out that rascal was cheating, oh, baby, I'd have went right in there and he would have got off that account by all means necessary. And we know it can happen. All that shit about, well, you got to get permission when there's 2 names on the account. Motherfucker, I'm Wendy Williams. Take his name off. Because what you got to remember about a bank account with 2 names on it, you got the right to go in and take what you want out, right? Stay woke now. She should have just went in every day, taking money out. Taking money out. Let's say she asked the bank to remove his name. And then they say, well, we need to get his permission, right? Okay. So what you do is you go in and take money out. Take money out. Take money out. Go put it in an offshore account. Offshore account. Take money out. Every week, I took money out. And I would have left just enough in there. Anybody hear what I'm saying? Any new checks, they would have went to another bank account. Either offshore or another American bank. So when we went to court, it wouldn't be nothing in there. I might have left maybe $100,000 in there. And they get to asking me where your money at. I don't know where it is. That's what I would have said. I don't know where the money is. His name's on there. Ask him. See, you got to know how to play crazy. Because in the end, it was her money. And the law can't tell you not to go in your bank account and take your money out. It can't tell you how to spend your money. It can only tell you if it detects fraud. So when she found out that man was cheating on her and bought that woman a house, she should have went in that bank account and took money out. And I mean lump sums of it, and hid it. And any new checks from any new ventures, contracts, don't put $1 back in there. Then you go file for divorce. And then whatever's in that bank account, he could argue with the fucking judge. See, when you're wealthy, you are in a circle of people who can show you how to hide things, such as money, real estate, property. And that's what she should have done. As soon as she found out he was cheating, she should have went and found someone, a legitimate financial advisor, a motherfucker that knows how to hide money. And they should have told her how to do it. And then she should have found her a great therapist to help guide her through her emotions dealing with this heathen. And this is the fallout of dealing with a mangy human being. If you let yourself get caught up emotionally, you could end up a Wendy Williams. And she says that in the documentary, about the finances. But what she didn't say was how she got to that point. I'm here because I let my emotions override me. My substance abuse override me. Not taking care of myself is how I really got here. Because you can have a health problem so long as you are maintaining it. You are going to your doctor, your visits, you're taking your medicines. You can survive, but you can't survive if you are not emotionally stable. You're not eating. You're not drinking water. You're upset. You're crying. You're depressed. And then you're imbibing fluids and substances. You're going to have a problem. And you're going to have a problem if you didn't have no health problems. Because one thing exacerbates another. Anybody knows excessive drinking leads to heart disease, strokes, liver disease, kidney problems, diabetes, all of that. That's common sense. Drug use, the same thing. Brain issues, heart problems, because it's a foreign substance. And it's sad she got herself caught up emotionally to get herself in this predicament with a buffoon. And he wants money, but the judge has told him he needs to go get a job. So when will the payment stop, or have they stopped out of her account going to Mr. Hunter, number one? Did the bank ever find out who defrauded her accounts? First, it says family, son. What is the truth? The son denies any fraudulence. He said every purchase he made, the mother gave him consent. But when we look at her and how she behaved, we have to use common sense. She probably wasn't even paying attention to what he was charging. She probably just gave him the card. He went out and did whatever he wanted. So you really can't say she gave me consent, because we weren't there to see the use of the card, what was actually purchased. And let's be truthful. Who purchased the $2 million house? She did. She walked in with you to the realty company and handed her credit card, or went to the bank and handed her credit card for your $2 million house, if we're to believe that's the amount of a home that you were living in. And like I said, there's no reason for no young person to be living in no $2 million house. I don't give a fuck whose child it is. That's too much money. And you don't have that kind of money to sustain it. It's one thing if I buy you a nice car, but am I going to be the one paying for the gas? Am I going to be the one paying the insurance on it? So see, that's what people need to think about. You go buy somebody a car, but yet you're still paying what? The note on it, or the gas for it, the insurance. The person has to do something. So that's why I'm saying there was no need for him being in no lavish home. He was a kid. And to me, he's still a kid. Because you need to be able to sustain yourself. Did he commit fraud? Did the family commit fraud? Because he states once the bank seized her money and were, talking about allegations of fraud, she made him power of attorney. So who was taking money from her? Did somebody open up any accounts in her name? Credit cards, lines of credit, loans against Wendy Williams' name? Was it a combination of family and the son? Because they were in disagreement about something pertaining to Wendy Williams, her care, whatever. I don't know the logistics, but I know it's jacked up. And the documentary shows how jacked up the situation was. The people around her in the New York apartment, troublesome. The niece comes to town. She's worried about this Sean person who's a publicist. That's when that guy tells her about the no food in the refrigerator. She holds her head down like she's sad. She wants to not look into the camera. That didn't make no sense to me. Why don't you go in the refrigerator to see? Oh, there's no food in the refrigerator. Okay, let me get up. They would have followed me and I would have went in the refrigerator and looked. What the hell's going on here? And then I would have went and got the number to the Guardian and said, why is there no food here? Ma'am, you don't get some food here ASAP. I will be calling Adult Protective Services of New York to tell them you have neglected my mother and you're over her damn money. See, something should have been done a long time ago. You're working for her and you realize all she's doing is drinking. She ain't eating, she ain't drinking water. Like I said, was she keeping up her hygiene? This is bullshit. Somebody should have been calling. Because let me tell you something. That news would have broke so fast. Had somebody called Adult Protective Services. Had somebody went to the news. Ding, ding, ding. Somebody went to Cuomo, News Nation, whoever, to say, we need to show you what is going on with Wendy Williams. She has a guardian. They're sitting on top of her money, and they don't even make sure the woman is eating properly. She doesn't get adequate food here. And naturally, you can't make her eat, but you're still over her allegedly. So if you're over her money, you should be over her body. You see she's not eating, that's when you say, well, we need to make provisions to put this lady in a facility where she can be made to eat if we have to take her to a facility to give her a feeding tube. It is what it is. So all the people who were still hanging around her, Will, you and that black lady, Sean, whoever else, to me, y'all still was stupid to be hanging around her because you're aiding in the abuse and the neglect. Then we learned she was paying you all. The niece asked her that, and she got an attitude about that and got up and she was telling the people to quit filming, Wendy Williams. So you see, she's still aware of her faculties at that time when they were filming. Because you can see what she get upset about. You talk to her about something she don't like, she don't want to hear. She knew how to walk away and shut that damn conversation down. So Wendy Williams had her moments where she was lucid, okay? But you all are aiding her. You aided her. And that's what I didn't like, is that you could see the blatant abuse and neglect, and you still were riding that donkey ride. The fact that she didn't have a job, how was she paying you? At one point, she's lying in the bed. You could see there was money sitting right beside her. Where did that money come from? How did she get paid for the documentary? Because that should have been a check cut before filming, okay? When did she get paid for the documentary? Where did that money go to? Did she put it in another bank account? And that's why she was talking about Bank America during the documentary. Possibly so. A driver, 2 managers, a publicist. That's 4 people. And that's not including what we didn't see and what was around her while she was falling down. I feel like you all help aid the bullshit too. I feel like you all help aid the bullshit. Because walking around looking for liquor bottles and going in cabinets and all that old bullshit. She goes to Miami, Will's looking through cabinets, calling the people saying, don't send no liquor up here, blah, 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 blah. She still was getting the liquor some type of way. That's where there was a problem. She wasn't eating, obviously. Liquor was still making its way there. That girl taking her to buy vapes and stuff. She didn't have no money, allegedly. So I'm going to say it again. How did Wendy Williams pay you all a salary with no fucking job? Why were you taking her to buy vapes? Why were you picking up vapes? Why were you buying her liquor? Sean, when you took her to LA, do you know how stupid you look sitting there with this lady that was this big and she's sitting there drinking a martini or whatever, telling us through the documentary she loves to drink vodka, why she and Wanda didn't get along because Wanda didn't want her drinking, blah, blah, blah. We already know that. No sister wants to see, their sister as a drunk. And you're just sitting there at the table letting her drink. But she told us through the documentary she didn't have no money. So how the fuck did she fly out there? See, I'm woke. She didn't have a credit card, no access to her money at Wells Fargo, but she's on a fucking airplane. Who paid for the ticket? Who paid for the hotel? Who paid for that liquor? Who paid for the food? The food comes. We don't see her touch the food. We see you eating, Sean. Sean, you gotta be ashamed of yourself. You're part of the problem too. And the niece was concerned about you and she didn't want to be in the same room with you. That's why they made you step out when they were filming. Shit missing from the house. I thought I got a notion that something's been missing from the house. So were you stealing from her? Who has stolen out her house? The fact she was trying to sell some stuff because she was moving at the time as well. Will didn't like that. Why is she getting rid of stuff? Well, Will, it is her house. It's her things. She want to get rid of stuff. That's her prerogative. She wanted a one flat unit because of her mobility issues. That's her right. But then we have to ask that question too. Who was going to take in the money for the sale of the apartment? Because at one point, Will goes to the apartment. It's empty. So where did those belongings go? Number one. Where did the money go for the sale of the apartment? Number two. Was the apartment ever sold? And where did the money go? Where are her things? Are her things in another apartment? Who's overseeing that apartment? Who's paying the electric, the gas, the water for the new apartment? Did she get moved into the new apartment? See, those are things we have no answers to. When he walked in that new apartment, producers, why didn't you try to inquire where she went? And you heard her whispering to the niece about moving out because the niece kept saying, when you're moving, and you heard her whisper. I could have sworn she said 3 weeks. I could be wrong. But why didn't Wendy want the producers to know where she was going? Because probably she wanted some privacy. So that shows you she had some lucidity at some point. Coming and going, rather. So does she have another home? Did her things get moved out? Did she sell some of her things? If she got monies for selling of things from the apartment, selling the apartment, moved into a new place, who is over that money? Where is that money? Lots of questions. And I won't doubt that guardian would want all of that and try to put a trace on it. If the family doesn't step up and try to regain guardianship of Wendy Williams will lay by the wayside. She won't have nothing. Because as I brought you commentary last night pertaining to guardianship, a lot of people rarely get out of it. Rarely get out from under the guardianship. You got to prove you are lucid, stable to take care of yourself. And there's going to always be somebody that will probably complain the people over you person is not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And I got a feeling it probably would go on even if one of her relatives got guardianship, the sister, the brother, or whomever. Naturally, they won't give the son guardianship again because of allegedly he committed fraud on her credit card. So that leaves her sister, the niece, and the brother. The father, he's too old. Judge probably wouldn't give him guardianship. And I don't think even random people should be a guardian of another person, a stranger. Stranger over stranger, that's just not good. You know, this is an adult protective services. When you have the kind of money she has, they provide, you know, big top name lawyers and stuff, but you got to know the lawyer. You got to do the background on the lawyer. So I also fought the judge. You're to blame as well because you didn't do background to learn this woman had been sued before, Miss Sabrina Marisse. So you shouldn't have appointed her to be over her, over Wendy Williams. You see, there's neglect all the way around in this storyline. Nobody is doing due diligence to check to make sure the right people are over the person, around the person. How are you a guardian and you don't even know who the fuck is going in and out of her apartment? You don't know if she's eating. She's still drinking. She was drinking excessively. Don't know if she's taking a bath or taking a shower. She's got to call you every time she wants to buy something. So you got to ask all those questions. Did she ever go to Macy's or Bloomingdale's and shop while under the care of this woman? Probably not. She probably just wearing stuff she had in her house already. And what I found also disturbing was her attire. Naturally, you can't tell a grown woman what to wear, but she was walking around in shorty shorts, booty shorts, looking horrible, frail, and it's wintertime. The niece comes in with the coat, talking about how cold it is. The winters are cold in New York. And there is Wendy Williams sitting around, t-shirt and shorts. Everywhere she went, she wore shorts. Big coat, fluffy boots to cover her swollen feet, legs. Pull off the boot. Naturally, no hose, no socks because the feet are swollen so bad. Nobody putting moisture on her feet and legs to help soothe the coloration because as your feet swell, they become dark. And you can see her feet was scaly. And I won't doubt the swelling probably came from the alcohol use. Stay woke. Yeah, no compression socks. She didn't need to be walking around with her feet just stuck in those boots all day, all the time with no breathing, no moisture on her feet. You're supposed to be putting Vaseline and some type of, heavy cream to moisturize her feet. Everybody knows this when feet and legs start to swell. You need to keep them moisturized. And it was horrible looking at this light-skinned black lady with black feet. Shorts in the dead of winter. Running around the city in short shorts. Sometimes she may have some tights or something under them. This is crazy. And you people should have told her, Wendy, you need to put on some leggings, heavier leggings. We're going out. It's cold outside. I'm not leaving this apartment with you unless you put some damn leggings on. Yes, feet propped up. And of course, she stayed, elevated a lot on the couch, in the bed. And that was still a sad sight too. To see this woman who was vibrant at one time, just lying around, eyes bugged up, because I learned, the Graves' disease causes that with the eye bulging and everything. But it's just sad. And even though there were times, I can say I just didn't care for Wendy Williams, maybe in the beginning, watching her when she first came out. But when I started hearing all the ugly things she was doing and saying just constantly, I didn't care for her. I will honestly say that. But I will say, looking at the downfall of her during that documentary, it was despicable. But then I had to ask myself, did she put herself in this position to be used, abused, taken advantage of? It's wrong for people to do it. Okay, let's say this. It's wrong, yes, to be used, manipulated. But you also have to remember, she put herself in that predicament by one, not taking care of herself. That has nothing to do with anybody. That's a choice. If I decide to get mad at the world, I decide to stay angry, bitter, depressed because somebody did not want me, that is my choice. Despite that they've used me, despite that they've used my money to go spend it on other people, yes, that is their wrongdoing. But how I react is all on me. And that's what people need to take from this documentary. That no matter your status in life, your bank account, how you respond is on you. And that is what most therapists try to teach us in therapy, is your response. Her response got her there. It's not to say her health couldn't have declined, but if you are not taking care of yourself, knowing you have a health problem, you can't think one thing wasn't going to get worse. And it did. Because she was angry, depressed, upset that this man wanted someone else, lied to her, used her. And many people probably don't want to accept that. But you have to realize she did this to herself because she could have gotten therapy to deal with whatever she was feeling inside towards her husband. So you don't know if she was going to her doctor's appointments, if she was keeping a exercise regimen, drinking water. You can't drink alcohol and don't drink water. Everybody knows this. You've got to eat. Once you become an alcoholic, you don't give a damn about eating. Once you get on drugs, you don't care about eating. The sister or somebody should have told her. And they probably did. I'm not here to say that they didn't. You are falling down. Come with me. Let's go on vacation. Let's see about getting you some help, because this isn't you. Just as Denise told her, you're better than this, you're bigger than this. That's what should have been said to her. But in the end, no matter what was said to her by whomever, she still made a sound choice to use drugs, to drink. She gave Mr. Hunter power over her, even in the end. She let him think that he won. And in his mind, he probably thinks that I beat her. And the way he's gone to the courts trying to get money still shows you he is just a dirty motherfucker. He never loved Wendy Williams. Now, how they started out, I don't know if it was genuine love, but at some point he started cheating on her. And I won't doubt he probably cheated with other women. Because rarely do they just wake up and get that one chick and they want to put her on a pedestal and spend money on her. He's probably done it with many women, but failed for that little young girl. And I can tell you right now, what you two have ain't shit. And it ain't going to last. Because your relationship was built on adultery, lies, deception, and milking a lady out her money. So you two won't be together either. Because you're going to tire of one another. Because when the lights dim, which I'm sure they're starting to, you're not going to want to look at each other. And she ain't going to care about him being the father of her little girl, and he ain't going to care about her either. They want to sustain that life. And that is the one thing that many people fall out about in the world. That's money. That's why they tell you don't give it, don't loan it. People get mad, they don't get it paid back, whatever. You don't know the person's circumstances. But imagine this dynamic of dealing with millions of dollars, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. They're used to that lifestyle. Now, allegedly, they're broke. They don't have no money. Well, that's a personal problem because, Mr. Hunter, you should have saved that money that you were getting from Wendy Williams. You should have put it into a bank account and not spent it. You should have built you a brand, built your business, but you want to do like most people do. You just want to go out here and buy fancy cars and Nikes and shit and bling bling. That ain't shit. A Prada suit, Gucci suit, Louis Vuitton suit, that don't pay no rent. That don't pay no taxes on a house. That don't put gas in a car. And that's what people don't understand about buying name brand stuff. It's just stuff manufactured, mass produced in China. China, Paris, Italy, Mexico, India. Take your pick. You're going to break your neck to spend $500 for a pair of fucking shoes that's out of style in 3 months because Michael Jordan had made another damn shoe. Do you see where I'm going? Same thing with Prada, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Yves Saint Laurent. That shit is mass produced. Now, some of those houses will make only so many of the items. Maybe 50 Gucci bags. And then they don't make it that style no more. So you feel special because you were able to get that one out of the 50. Well, can you eat that Gucci bag? Can you eat that Prada bag? Because when you attain a certain lifestyle, you got to be able to keep it up. And that's what's going on with Mr. Hunter. He has spent that money he got from alimony payments, and he's in a hole. I don't give a fuck. Best thing you do, you and Lil Cookie, go sell some of that shit out your house and put it up on eBay or Amazon or fucking Facebook Marketplace and sell it. Hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you for joining me. And she needs to see her family. Somebody's saying in the chat about family. In order to keep her memory going, she needs to see her relatives. She needs to have them visit her. They need to be able to call her. We learned that in the documentary. She can call out, but they can't call in. That's foolishness. She's been there too long for that type of protocol. They can't take anything from her. She doesn't have anything. You don't have her with access to anything. So what's the harm in someone calling her? She has a cell phone where they can call her because somebody needs to be able to see her visually. Somebody needs to be able to go into a day room and see her physically. Talk to her to make sure she's getting the adequate treatment. See where her mind is. See how she's talking, her speech. Because we've already seen that she was failed by the guardian, Miss Sabrina Marisse, and others who were around her. Yes, I'm calling you all out. All of you want to point the finger at this one. You all are guilty to me because you rode the ride. To me, you're no different than the motherfuckers that hung with R. Kelly. I said it. You ain't no different. You got what you wanted out the deal. And then you want to go cry in a documentary about a liquor bottle being hidden and how much she drank. Why even be a part of that? Why even be a part of that? Wendy, I thank you for the time, but I can no longer indulge in this behavior with you. You need help. You don't want help. And I don't want to be a part of this. Wendy Williams was not your mother. She wasn't your sister. She wasn't your first cousin. So what was the point in being there? And allegedly she didn't have no money. So how was she paying you? So see, I never understood all of that. You mean to tell me you were going in your own pocket to pay for what for her? See, that's why I know there's something more bullshit going on that we saw in that documentary that has not been told. Because how do you get your money back for buying airline tickets, buying food, buying the liquor? She didn't have no money, no credit cards. How did you buy the food, the liquor, the vapes? Help me understand. You gonna keep using your credit card to buy vapes, Sean? All of you dusty. I said it. Because no decent person would continue to be in Wendy Williams' company. You could love her from afar. I'll pray for her but I have to remove myself. That's what a sane person does. Call her occasionally. Hi, how are you? Just call to check on you. That's it. Because she really wasn't getting any help. She had a whole human over her estate who didn't even check in on her, didn't visit. You didn't see that white woman one time during that documentary. Sabrina Morrissey, whatever the hell your name is. You are foul, you are funky, you're nasty, you're vile. And let me tell you something about your ass. You're going to end up in the same place Wendy Williams was. See, what goes around comes around. You're going to end up being in the same place. And you better hope somebody cares a little bit more about you than how you treated her. And as I said, some people might say, Wendy put herself here. It's karma. All the ugly things she said about people on a TV show. Maybe she was too bossy, didn't have respect for people. How bad she talked about Whitney Houston and substance abuse, calling Whitney Houston out. Remember that interview many moons back, radio show? Then she blew up, became famous. In the end, Wendy Williams was her own worst enemy. And the thing she said so terrible about Whitney Houston, she was Whitney. And you see this a lot in judging people. That sometimes you're judging people according to your own sins. And we learned this interviews that's in the YouTube queue of her being on The View. I didn't open it up, but she is allegedly talking about her substance abuse, alcohol, drugs. So all those ugly comments about Whitney Houston, different stars, what they're doing, not doing. She had her own demons while hosting the show, and you didn't even know it. You're sitting here thinking it's all about the Graves' disease, this, and this. She had a whole lot more going on. She was living a lie. And that's what I'm talking about as far as karma. That maybe she was not a nice person on the show, off the show. And I'm not necessarily talking about her husband. I don't know what type of relationship they had, but he cheated on her. That's, to me, separate. Now, maybe he'll say she mistreated me. She wasn't a great wife. Woo, woo, woo. Whatever. I'm only speaking of what I saw on the show and in this documentary. What I saw in the documentary was reminiscent of the show. A dominant figure, boisterous figure, combative figure. Now, naturally, these disorders say the person will become those things. But I think she already had that demeanor before becoming ill and having this brain disorder or whatever, because we don't really know the diagnosis and what's truth or not. But I believe she put herself in this situation from not moving on from her feelings from her husband, the fact that she was using narcotics and drinking while being on the show, not getting adequate care for herself for the substance abuse, therapy, and possibly also her health issues. So all those things were on Wendy Williams, nobody else. What is sad is what you saw play out in the documentary. What was the end result of the substance abuse, non-care of self, health problems exacerbating. And it's hard to look at because if you have any type of empathy in you, you don't wish this on anyone. You don't want to see a person suffering. Even if they were the meanest person, you might say, well, I know they were mean, but darn, they really look bad. And that's what I told myself in watching it. I tried to compartmentalize who Wendy Williams was on TV versus what I saw in the documentary. And I told myself, what I'm seeing is a result of bad choices. But it's still sad to look at. And you don't want to be that person to wish somebody ill, you know, even somebody you really don't like, you've had bad blood with or had a run-in with, or, you know, just they were just ugly to you. You don't want to wish them harm. And sometimes we do. You know, I'm not trying to sugarcoat anything. Sometimes we do. We say, I don't care what happens to them. They get hit by a bus, whatever, they get sick. Oh, well, I don't care. You're entitled to your opinion. But it's not humane. No matter how mean a person has been in life, your perception of him or her, you don't want to let a person fall by the wayside visually, and you can help. And that's what I saw here. No matter who she was, to whomever, what she did in life that wasn't right, it was just a bad look for people to aid her foolishness and not say, we've got to go to some higher up person to get something overturned because this is not working in her favor. That's what's appalling. It's that this film crew filmed this woman for a year. And you can't explain filming her life for a year and nobody was able to intervene to remove this lady as her guardian and get Wendy Williams adequate care. That's baffling and disturbing and disgusting. Somebody else should have been the guardian. Somebody else should have removed her from her home and put her in a treatment facility. Either put her things in storage or make sure she moved into another home and then took her to court, let her speak before the judge, let the judge make an assessment, and let the judge talk to different relatives, do home studies to decide who should have taken care of her, so on and so forth. Because I question her going back to New York from Miami, going before a judge. Did she actually appear before a judge? Did the judge talk to her at length, ask her questions? Did the judge ask to speak to any of the relatives via Skype or have them appear in court? See, you don't get any of that type of information during this documentary. Did the judge ask people to come to court, talk to these people? Because allegedly the sister said they were speaking and then a wall came down. People were asking her about guardianship. She said, okay, I'll take the class, blah, blah, blah. And then she said there was nothing. Maybe the judge decided, well, I don't want anybody in the family taking care of her because of that $100,000 in the credit card fraud or whatever, or misappropriation of funds. We don't want nobody in the family taking care of her. Then you should have sought somebody else. What was wrong with her friend, Miss Shell? All I'm saying is a random stranger, that didn't seem to work out either. You didn't trust the family. So you got some woman who already been sued before with other entities and lawyers or whomever, or LLC, PPC, whatever. That wasn't a good decision either. So judge, you didn't do your homework. You just took some random person off the street and threw them as her guardian. And this lady don't give two fucks about her. So is Sabrina Marisse over Wendy Williams' estate and funds? If so, she should not be. Should the judge render a different decision and give care to a family member? I say yes at this point, because you're just going around in a vicious circle at this point with this lady. And she needs to be around her family. You heard her say that during the documentary. She cried that she missed her family because she was lonely. And that's what got her in this bullshit in the first place. Loneliness. She was miserable. She was defeated. She didn't move on from the divorce, her emotions toward her husband, how he treated her, and whatever else was going on in her life. She let that override her sense of self. And that's what you saw was the fallout from all of that. Health, substance abuse, broken relationship, all that took its toll. And as she said, this could happen. If it happened to me, it could happen to you. And that's true. You get yourself so down in a funk from whatever it is you're going through, bad relationships, finances, ridicule, ostracized, whatever it is that's going on with you, you could end up a Wendy Williams. And that's where you don't want to be. That's where you don't want to be. Whether you have that kind of money or not. And it's shameful to see somebody who was a multimillionaire end up in the place where she was during that documentary. Was it exploitation? Some people feel like she was exploited for this documentary, but the producers have come out to speak to say, we had no idea what was going on with her. That was the purpose of the documentary. That's why it's titled, What's Up with Wendy Williams? So they're saying, we didn't know she was sick. We didn't know she had dementia or alcohol-induced dementia. We had no idea. That's the purpose of us going there to film. We started seeing how she was behaving. We realized there was something wrong, but we made a sound decision to continue. I guess they said they asked her. She said she wanted this message out. She wanted people to see, how she was living, what was going on with her. She consented to the documentary. Everyone around her consented, allegedly. So was it exploitation? Should they have stopped filming once they saw how she looked, behaved? I agree that would be healthier and maybe healing for her. What's that, honey? Something seems fishy to me, though. Such as what? If they're going to claim she was dementia, had concern for her, and was controlling her finances, then yes, it is crossing a line, to film her whenever they notice. Yes, okay. So somebody in the chat says once they realized she had dementia, they should have stopped filming. Okay. Okay. Let's read your answers to the polls. Thank you for joining me. I also asked questions about you all pertaining to Wendy Williams and the debacle that has transpired during that documentary. Praying she's in a better place and better space. Allegedly, she's better, gained weight. So we will see if somebody will come forward and show us pictures that she's well and lucid and speaking and talking like she, is aware of her faculties. We will wait to see. Okay, everybody. Who is your designated person to provide care for you in case of an emergency or if you become ill? 5 responses. Whistleblower 312 says, my brother. Next, my cousin. Next, my sister, just in case. Backups. Kimber Lee says, my husband, if he is gone, then one of my nieces. Angry Mimi says, my husband. Yvonne says, my husband and daughter. And Tracy Joe says, my brother. Okay. So this was just me asking the chat and the viewing audience, do you have a backup plan? Do you trust people to do right by you? And take care of you in case something happens to you? You get hurt, you get sick, you have a stroke, whatever, heart attack, whatsoever. Is there somebody that will step up and stand in the gap for you? Will they do right by you? Do you trust your own family to do right by you? If you became ill today, would your family take good care of you? 59% said yes, 20% said no, 20% said not sure. Okay? So 59% of you said yes, but it's a tie between no and not sure at 20%, 182 votes. Wow, got a lot of votes. Here are the responses to that question. I believe they would have good intentions and try their best, but Lord help me laugh out loud. I'm scared to be in a home and not sure about someone coming to my home that I really don't know. It is a very hard question that we all must face sooner or later. I'm 57 and just became disabled, something I really need to think about. That's from Sugar Bridges. Patricia Parker says she would try, and I asked her, who is she? They haven't responded. Anna says there's 5, one of them better. Don't know who her 5 are. I guess she's talking about her children. Cat 1958 says no. That's sad because, sinuses. A lot of people don't have a designated person that will take care of them. They don't have family and friends that will stand in the gap for them in case they got sick, got in the hospital. And that's what you always have to remember. You could call somebody right now and say, hey, I'm sick. I had a stroke. Can you go check on this? Can you go do this? Will they do it? Will they help with finances, such as pay a light bill, gas bill, this and that? Will they be able to put you in a facility? Would they put you in a nursing home? Would they go the mile, the distance for you? That is something everybody needs to think about. This is why they tell you to make a living will, have it documented, have it signed, have an eyewitness. Give somebody else a copy just in case, so nobody can come up and forge documents and make up a statement saying, oh, yeah, she put me in charge of this. I'm the one that's supposed to go to the bank. Because right now, if you get sick or hurt, or worst case scenario, you die, you just can't go to the bank and pull out your mother's money, your father's money, this and that. You have to show proof that you were designated to be on the card, the bank account. Okay? Now, naturally, you can have access to the card, pull money out. Nobody's going to know you got the card. But if you didn't have access to a card, you had to go walk into the bank and try to draw that money out and close the account. You have to have your name on a statement that you can withdraw money, visibly going in the bank to take money out. Thank you all so much for joining me. All right. So 60% of you now say you would have, your family would take good care of you. Next question. Do you have a care plan designated person in place in case something happens to you? 46% yes, 54% no. Do you believe the producers' statements were genuine about why they released the Wendy Williams documentary? 13% yes, 47% no, 40% not sure. Do you feel that the Wendy Williams documentary is exploitation of a vulnerable person? 73% yes, 10% no, 18% not sure. Out of 51 votes, one person has commented. No brainer, absolutely, says one commenter. Okay. Should A&E have stopped filming the documentary when they realized Wendy Williams was not well? 89% yes, 2% no, 8% not sure, 85 votes. 2 people responded. Stacy 8023 says, I love Wendy, and as far as I can see, they took advantage of her situation. I wish I could just give her a hug. Sue Lou says, absolutely. So once again, 89% of you believe they should have stopped filming when they realized she wasn't well. Did people who were around Wendy Williams steal from her home in other ways? 88% yes, 4% no, 8% not sure. Should a family member be given guardianship over Wendy Williams? 39%, wow, this is kind of a low, says yes. 32% says no, 29% says not sure. It's very interesting. Do you think Wendy Williams' guardianship will be lifted? 8% says yes. 31% said no, and 62% of you are not sure. Does Wendy Williams' publicist managers care about her well-being? Publicist, yes, 8%. Publicist, no, 12%. Manager, yes, 0%. Manager, no, 24%. Not sure of neither, 56%. So 8% of you believe the publicist cared about her. 0% said yes on the manager. That's not good. Most of you believe you were not sure that any of them cared for her. Care for Wendy. Did Wendy Williams' son family steal her money? Son, yes, 14%. Son, no, 7%. Family, yes, 50%. Family, no, 4%. Not sure of either, neither, 25%. So most of you believe the family took her money. 28 votes. Very interesting situation. Let's hear what the producers have to say pertaining to Wendy Williams and the documentary. Thank you for joining me. One second, everybody. Do you watch the document? Yes, I've watched it. Yes, I did. ABC News is the source. Please check it out, the Lifetime. There are some YouTubers who have networks who have uploaded the content. Some of it's a little fuzzy, but you can get the basis of the documentary through clips and other YouTubers who have uploaded it. So feel free to watch the documentary in the YouTube queue if you don't have Lifetime or the Lifetime app.
Two-part docuseries, Where is Wendy Williams, has become quite a battle among family and their focus on her well-being, and those that are worried that more has been focused on lining their own pockets and exploiting Williams in the process here. The documentary delving into the fragile struggles of the former talk show host and showing her financial problems, family drama, even heart-wrenching moments of her struggle with alcohol.
You know how many people come out to support you? You know how many people love you? No, I don't.
They said everything is going to be good.
I know.
Now, Williams' team is revealing last week that she was diagnosed with aphasia and dementia, and her son, an only child, is saying that her condition is alcohol-induced. But there's doctors that beg to differ.
There is no evidence to directly link alcohol and frontotemporal dementia. So about 40% of frontotemporal dementia cases are genetic, and the other 60% of the time, we're not really sure why it happens.
Now, the executive producers of the doc, Mark Ford and Erica Hansen, say if they had known Wendy Williams had dementia, they wouldn't have rolled the camera. Mark and Erica, join me now. Appreciate you both being here. As you know, this has been quite the headline maker. And so, Mark, I just want to start with you. Let's clarify exactly, when did Wendy Williams agree to do this docuseries? And when did you find out that she had dementia?
Well, Wendy agreed to do the docuseries way back in August of 2022 was our first kind of conversations arising. And as you can imagine, there was legal discussions with all of her lawyers, her guardian, her management, her publicist, and everyone signed off on the documentary before we began down this road with her. We didn't find out about her dementia diagnosis until well towards the end of filming, when her son and her family revealed to us that they had their own private diagnosis, and that's what they shared in the film. So, of course, the entire way we were raising questions and asking questions, what's really going on here, because we could see that her behavior was becoming more erratic and more concerning, frankly.
So let me ask you, why didn't you just scrap the project when you found out what was really going on here?
There were many conversations all along the way about whether we should continue filming or not. But I think once we got to the family and started understanding their point of view and their story here, it was really important to shine a light on the truth of what Wendy's situation was. The entire time we were filming this documentary, she was under the care of a legal guardian. The courts took that care away from her family and placed her into the care of a legal guardian. And you can see in the documentary, how Wendy was, and people can make judgments about whether she was receiving the right level of care or not. But it became important that this family's story was allowed to have a platform, because there are many thousands of families across America who are dealing with this guardianship system and don't have the platform that Wendy has.
Sure, but her legal guardian did sue Lifetime, trying to stop this from airing.
And the courts threw that out and decided that the constitutional rights of Wendy and her family were more important than their temporary restraining order or their attempt to stop it.
So Erica, a TV critic for Variety, says the docuseries is invasive at best, predatory at worst. How do you respond to that?
Yeah, the documentary is a difficult film to watch at times, and it tackles a very sensitive subject. But I think we all felt strongly that we wanted to shed light on what was truly happening to Wendy under the care of this guardianship. She was very isolated in her apartment, obviously struggling with serious addiction issues. And we were very concerned, and we began to wonder what would have happened if we weren't there.
So let me ask this. When they went to film and allegedly they had no idea of her, mental state, physical state. We've probably seen pictures of her out and about and not looking well. If it's true, okay, they had no idea what was going on with her. Did they know she was under a guardianship when they went to film? That's one question I have. Did they know she had a guardian when they went to film?
And so I can understand why people can be uncomfortable watching part of the film. It was difficult to film as well. And we tried to be very responsible in what we showed, but to reveal the truth.
So, Erica, as an EP, how involved was Wendy Williams? And was she involved to the very end, including being there to see the final cut?
Wendy was involved. I filmed with her every day, and we talked about everything that we were going to do, and she had opinions about it. Some days were great, and she was very lucid. Other days, as you can see, she was struggling. But she was very involved, and we don't know if she watched the documentary. I know her family. I watched the documentary with her family, and they were very supportive. And, we really wanted to share what it's been like for them to be separated, from their loved one and not being able to communicate, not being able to call. She can call them, they can't call her. And so it was very important to get the family involved and engaged in this story and be a part of it.
So Wendy did not have a final say on what did air.
No, we had no access to Wendy. You see in the documentary that we finished filming with her in April of 2023, and we haven't been able to communicate with Wendy since then.
Wow.
So the fact that she was
her management did view the documentary. They did.
I guess what the struggle, I think, for a lot of folks is if she indeed was the EP, this process to sign off on it.
Well, she's the subject of the documentary and was very involved, as Erica said, all throughout it. And, always said, from the very beginning that, I'm an open book, tell the truth. Let's just tell this story of my life now. And the documentary started off as one thing, but it ended up telling the truth that was a little bit darker and a little bit scarier and a little bit more nuanced, than what we intended going into it. So we hope people watch it and, make their own judgments about it. But what we can say is that we were committed to capturing the truth of what was going on in Wendy Williams' life in this period of time that we had access to her while she was under the supposed care of a legal guardian. So I think that's the important takeaway here is that any family member, like Wendy said, if it can happen to me, it can happen to you. So we all need to kind of look at these issues and examine, whether the guardianships that are now, kind of dividing families across America should be reformed in some way.
Well, there are a lot of discussions to have, and clearly we'd love to follow up and just see the type of response that you do get as time moves on and how exactly this plays out for her, for the family, and even more so the struggles that she's been dealing with and still dealing with. If anything, there needs to be a much bigger discussion about aphasia, dementia, and who cares for us, in these difficult times where we can't make decisions clearly. Executive producers of the docuseries, Mark Ford, Erica Hansen, appreciate you both coming on, having the discussion.
ABC. So those are the producers, male and female, giving you their synopsis that they're glad they were there to film it because no telling what would have happened to her. Also, this is what the family wanted. The family had a voice, a side. They wanted to let the public hear what the family had to say pertaining to the guardianship and not having access to her. It did have a dark turn because they had no idea, what was going on with her. But like I said, everyone's entitled to his or her opinion. Some of you may feel like this was exploitation. I guess it depends on how you sit on the fence, because the flip side is, okay, we went to talk to her to see what she's doing with her life. We had no idea she was going through all of these things. Do we film, not film, continue to film? But they did. She said she wanted to finish. Family consented. to talk. And there are a lot of times where, during the filming, you can see she was lucid. She was aware of her faculties about, certain things. There were sometimes, she seemed a little bit aloof, but then there were times when she'd let you know what she wanted, didn't want. I don't want to talk anymore. I don't want to film anymore. Hey, I want to be alone. I want to watch TV. So it's a double-edged sword is what you saw play out during this conversation. What did you say, Lolo? It's just hard to know who has her best interest. Yes. And you saw that during the documentary. Just a lot of foolishness went on, and I just wish somebody had stepped up during this time that they were filming to try to go to a court to say, this isn't working out. This guardian is not checking on her. She's not visible. She's not holding conversations. She's not coming to the apartment. She's not checking to make sure she's eating, going to the doctor. So you have to ask all those questions. How many times did she actually go to a doctor, see a physician, a therapist? Naturally, you can't make a person, go to the doctor or a therapist. But if you're over her care, her money, let's say, if you're over her money, then you should be over the physical being of the human being, which is the doctor, care, making sure she's eating food. If she actually needed a caregiver, how about that? Why didn't they hire a caregiver? You can't just be over the money and walk away. Have somebody just call, like you're calling in an app to order food. That's what this Guardian was, just an app. I'd like a hamburger, French fry, and then you just sit and wait to see if somebody's going to bring it to you. That's what this Guardian was, a damn app. She's no different than DoorDash. Hold, please. It's crazy. So something needs to be done about this Guardian. If I don't send any other message during this live stream, that's the one message I'm sending. The Guardian needs to be removed. And if there are any improprieties on her account, hold her accountable and whoever else. Number 2, Wells Fargo has spoken saying they are not in the wrongdoing as far as seizing the money, and nothing has been found negligent or illegal to them seizing the money or any improprieties of her money by Wells Fargo. Lord have mercy, what a mess. All right. What else do I have for you before I check out of here? I want to come back on live a little bit later. I want to talk about the young man who unalived himself pertaining to the Palestine war, what's going on abroad. Bring you that set information. Please check out my video from last night, What Will Become of Wendy Williams. This is part 2. Let's hear from the Sun, and then I'll check out of here. ABC News is also the source. Sun says her dementia is alcohol-induced.
Claims about the star's health. In the Lifetime documentary about the former daytime talk show host, Williams' son says her recent dementia diagnosis is, quote, alcohol-induced. This is Wendy speaks out for the first time since the announcement of her diagnosis. Eva Pilgrim has more.
It's clear my aunt needs help. And the biggest concern is people around her taking advantage of the situation.
That's the nephew.
Stunning new claims from the family of Wendy Williams, who was recently diagnosed with aphasia and dementia.
I'm afraid that she could die.
Wendy's son and only child, Kevin Hunter Jr., speaking candidly in the new Lifetime documentary about his mother, saying her condition is alcohol-induced.
Tell me about those doctors. That's what you learned.
So I think they said it was alcohol-induced dementia.
Wendy's care team revealing last week that she was diagnosed with primary progressive aphasia and frontotemporal dementia, also known as FTD. Aphasia affects a person's ability to communicate, and FTD is the most common form of dementia for people under the age of 60.
There is no evidence to directly link alcohol and frontotemporal dementia. So about 40% of frontotemporal dementia cases are genetic, and the other 60% of the time, we're not really sure why it happens.
Wendy's niece and anchor for our affiliate WPLG, Alex Finney, sat down with our Deborah Roberts ahead of her aunt's public health acknowledgement.
As a family, were you told that?
So I did not see that diagnosis. I only heard that through family. Now, I know Kevin said it, but I personally didn't see it. it does make sense that she definitely cognitively has some things that are off. Does it lean the way of it being dementia? I think it could.
Driver, I said go past the Wendy Williams show.
Wendy's guardian, who was court appointed in 2022 after her bank alleged she was incapacitated, suing Lifetime just days before the release of a doc, a judge allowing the premiere.
Some people are going to look at this and say, this is exploitation. She's being exploited. How could they do this?
But I will say this, first and foremost. My aunt is the executive producer of this documentary. And she said, now is the perfect time because I want to take ownership of my story.
She's got a point. She's an icon. She's a legend. And she is the moment.
She's talking about Lil' Kim.
Addressing her fans for the first time since the documentary release, saying in part, your response has been overwhelming. Adding, I continue to need personal space and peace to thrive. Please just know that your positivity and encouragement are deeply appreciated.
Before I finish that, did she say that, or that's somebody writing that statement for Wendy Williams? Because we know that while she's in this treatment facility, she's probably having limited conversations, because I don't know how many times they let her dial out to call anybody. Is she dialing out from a landline phone from the treatment center that's blocked, or she's calling from her own cell phone? So number one, does she have access to her own cell phone in the treatment center? Number two, is she calling from a landline that has the number blocked? How many times is she allowed to call out a day? How many times does she go out for fresh air on the property or outside of the facility? Who are they letting come see her now? She's been in there at least a year or so, I'm assuming. So is she at a point where she can have people visit her, come see her? Can they take her off for a day visit? What is the criteria? And how long is this going to last? Because let's be truthful, her having this random entity be over her money and funds, I don't think it's a good idea. I think there needs to be somebody else over her money and funds and her also whole personal self. That's just my personal opinion. Because after watching the documentary, seeing that the guardian was not doing her job, there's no way a judge should allow this to continue. And the fact that we're in 2024 and she's still in a treatment center with barely access to her, I don't understand how a judge could think this is right. She needs to be around family. They need to be able to see her, talk to her. She needs to be able to engage with people. This needs to end.
Williams' family says while they have spoken to her, they still don't know where she is, but that she sounds like she's doing better. Our thanks to Eva Pilgrim for that report. And now I want to bring in TV critic at Variety, Aramide Tinubu, joining me now for more on this. Aramide, you wrote an article about the docuseries saying it feels, quote, invasive at best and predatory at worst. So what reaction is this docuseries getting from viewers now, especially after Wendy's team shared her diagnosis?
There's definitely been mixed reviews. I think that Wendy is someone who has a lot of energy behind her, knowing what she's done in terms of her career. So a lot of people agree with what I said, that it felt very exploitative and very unnecessary. And other people, unfortunately, feel like it's kind of just her karma. She's always been someone who's extremely outspoken, who called it like it is.
Karma.
Just saying like, hey, this is kind of what you've done all of your life. Mm-hmm. So now the chickens have come home to roost.
Could be. Is this chickens coming home to roost?
Appointed guardian sued Lifetime just days before the release of this documentary, but the judge allowed the premiere to go ahead. What do you make of that?
I think it's very strange that the Guardian waited until 72 hours before the documentary premiered in order to sue, if that's what they wanted to do. From the documentary, it looks like the Guardian, at the time that it was filmed from, I believe, about May 2022 to April 2023, was very hands-off and kind of separated from Wendy.
Exactly.
So it just seemed insincere, in my opinion, that they would wait only 3 days ahead of the premiere to do this, knowing that the series was going to come out. We've known about 3 or 4 weeks that Lifetime was planning on doing this. So I'm not sure what that motivation was, other than the fact that the Guardian looks very poor in the documentary.
Very.
Now, actor Bruce Willis's family has been very public about his aphasia diagnosis, saying they're trying to raise awareness about the condition. Now, Williams is saying that she hopes that others may benefit from her story, too. Do you think this documentary could help in those efforts to spread awareness?
I think it does help in that terms. I just don't think it was necessary. I think there's other ways to spread awareness. I do agree with the family in saying like there's no reason why one of her family members, she has a living brother, a sister, and a father, could have stepped in and been her guardian. I'm not sure. I understand why Wells Fargo stepped in, but I'm not sure why the judge would appoint someone that no one in her family knows. The fact that they don't have contact with her
that's strange.
is very unsettling to me. So yes, we're raising awareness about this illness, but in this manner is extremely concerning to me.
Yes.
All right, TV critic at Variety, Aramide Tanubu, thank you.
All right, ABC News is the source. So I'm going to recap that commentary. Strange. She was a vocal person on TV, very critical of others in her commentary. Is this karma coming back to haunt Wendy Williams? Because she was so, as I said, vocal, critical, part of her TV show, roasting others, blah, blah, blah. Did the chickens come home to roost? Maybe so. As I said, a lot of what you've seen unraveled during the documentary is self-induced problems, issues, responses. Because even if you put the health problems to the side that she didn't have, the drinking, the imbibing, substance abuse, anybody with sense knows that's going to have a negative effect on your life. You're depressed, you're down, that's going to affect your health. So she's putting herself at risk, even if she didn't have any health problems, let's say. Is this induced dementia, alcohol-induced, is what's going on with her brain, functioning, mobility? Or is this genetic? You heard the one lady speaking earlier that a lot of these issues that she's having, allegedly, if they're true, are genetics. You also hear that Bruce Willis has this aphasia. So is this just a combination of genetics? This was going to happen anyway to Wendy Williams, that perhaps this is genetic. Maybe somebody in her family has dementia, or her mother had it, or father's having early stages. I don't know, because I didn't hear that mentioned in the documentary if the father has dementia or if the mother has dementia, but it may run in families. Okay, mother had it, father had it, or then now a daughter has it, son has it. So maybe it's genetic. Maybe she was going to get dementia anyway, even if she never used drugs, never drank, never had Graves' disease. That somewhere down the line, you were going to hear this story of her having memory loss. Okay. So maybe it's true. I don't know, because you heard one of the women here speaking professional say it's usually genetic. You also hear with this disorder, not the induced dementia, but the frontotemporal, that it's progressive and it's also rare, because it's two of them. They're rare. So the odds of her getting a rare condition, alcohol-induced, don't know. Care team says it's just frontotemporal. Will they be speaking out to tell us her condition has gotten better? She's doing better. You heard a statement from her. Don't know if she wrote the statement or not, or someone wrote it on her behalf. Is she actually doing better? Something needs to come to an end to this, because I'd hate to look up, it's another year, and we're still talking about this woman, and she's in La La Land somewhere, and nobody knows where she is, which is also baffling here, that they have no idea where she is. That's dangerous to me. Nobody has the right to put you in a facility and not notify next of kin where you are. And I don't know how any judge thinks this is appropriate and just. It's a violation of your civil rights and your civil liberties, that nobody that's related to you, that you actually speak to and have a relationship with, they don't even know where the hell you are. You could be living right next door to them in a facility down the street, and they don't even know that you're in there. That's dumb to me, and it's ignorant. It's vile and it's ignorant. So that's why I said there are too many people involved in this case that needs to stand account. The judge needs to stand account. This Sabrina Marissa, you need to stand account. The people who are around her filming during the documentary, you need to stand account. There are too many entities. Now, if the family has done wrong by her, you will stand account for your ways as well. Was she a mean person to these people? The people she hung around with, the family members? I don't know. Only they can give you an account of what their relationships were like with her, and also Wendy Williams on account of how she dealt with these people. But I do believe that possibly some of this is karma. I think it's a mixture of both karma and also poor decision from Wendy Williams. Because like I said, if there's nobody to really tell you the diagnosis, if they're legitimate or not, you don't know if they're genetic, you don't know if they're alcohol induced, because you have the lady speak that she didn't believe that was the right assertion, but this is what was told to the Sun. So we don't know who those doctors were that he took her to when they were in Miami. So you don't know anything. You're just getting he said and she said. And there's no way that lady's going to thrive hidden from her family. I don't know what type of conservatorship, guardianship this is going on out of New York, but it's hideous. Whether you like Wendy Williams or not, it's just principle. Nobody should have living relatives and they like them and talk to them and be hidden from them. That's ignorant. That's just ignorant. So something needs to change with the guardianship ASAP. Someone needs to appeal to the court. I will stand in the gap for my sister. I have a home. I have a place. I'd like to take care of her. I'd like to bring her here to live. I'd like to keep her in treatment or therapist or whatever the doctors recommend. Let's go there. That's what needs to happen. Doctors meet with the family, tell them what's going on with her, give them their assessment, and then everybody meets up before a judge, and the judge makes a sound decision to put her in a family's care. What the family needs to do is hire an attorney, a powerhouse, somebody who won't mind even doing it for pro bono, and file a petition out of Florida to have this guardian relinquished, have the money relinquished, Wells Fargo, and she get put in the care of a relative in Florida, and this be the end of it. And then whatever happens between the family and Wendy Williams, the son, that will be on them. Because in the end, nobody can tell anybody what to do as far as care. But if you see signs of abuse, neglect, the right thing to do is contact the authorities and adult protective services. This is a case that is so baffling because you don't expect to hear this from somebody that's a multimillionaire, an entertainment figure. But this just goes to show you anything can happen. Over time, you heard, really weird stories of people not being able to reach their family member. There was somebody famous a while ago. They couldn't be reached. I can't remember who it was. It was somebody. There was the daughter or son or somebody was trying to reach the father or something and couldn't because the wife was trying to keep them apart or something. I don't know. But it just shows you how things can exacerbate with people, whether they're famous or not. Because you hear these questions, these concerns of people saying, I can't reach my mom, I can't reach my dad, my sister, the husband, wife won't let me call, or they keep blocking my number, or you hear all type of crazy stuff with people. And it just goes to show you this is not just a Wendy Williams story. This is a human story because there are many people in the care of other people. They're not treated well by that person or agency or facility. And somebody's inquiring, trying to get information, and they are blocked somehow. Phone calls, visits, whatsoever. This is why you have to pray as a human being that you will never end up a Wendy Williams story. You will never have to be mistreated. Have somebody over your funds, your estate, your food, whatever, and they're not doing due diligence by you. Because frankly, this happens all the time. They're just not millionaires. Many people are living right now in an apartment, house, condo, and nobody checks on them. Nobody makes sure they go to the doctor, make sure they're fed, checking on their pets, visiting. You see this all the time in those crazy TV shows where people were hoarders and nobody even knew they were living barricaded in their house, defunct situations, unkempt situations, unsafe situations. In your mind, you're sitting there saying to yourself, but you're the daughter, you're the son, you're the sister, and you didn't know your parent was living like this. You never visited your mother. How could you not visit your own mother and father? Now, whether you two didn't get along, okay, that's a different situation. But you can't logically be living in the same state, city with a relative or a town over and say, oh yeah, we talk all the time, but I'll never visit. Oh, I never knew they lived like this. Oh, I didn't know they were sick. Then that means you didn't have a rapport with them. Then just tell the truth. You didn't have a rapport. But don't sugarcoat it because the cat got out of the bag. And see, a lot of people don't want people to know they don't have a good rapport with their family members. And that's fine because all of us are not going to get along. But at some point, whether a person is liked or not, well received, it's wrong to leave them to their devices where they cannot take care of himself or herself. I'm going to spin a short story to you before I check out of here to give you something to think about after this live stream. Exploitation of a vulnerable person. Some may think that's what happened here with Wendy Williams, that the production company should have stopped once they found out she was not well. You're entitled to your opinion. Her diagnosis, do not know if their actual diagnosis, real or not. We know they're real diagnosis, but are they her diagnosis? Don't know. Family, fraud, charges on credit cards, allegations against the son. The family as well, why Wells Fargo seized her bank accounts. Don't know who's going to own to that. The people around her during the documentary and others who've been around her while she was in failing health, you are just as guilty because you took a part of it and you should have bowed out. Oh, Lolo, I gotta eat something. I'll be back shortly. You got to own your part as well. Everybody has to own their part of being a part of the bullshit. If you were a part of it and you saw the signs and you didn't reach out to the authorities and somebody in a higher up position, you rode the wave. Bottom line. What will become of Wendy Williams? I don't know. But I pray she gets in a better place, mentally, physically, spiritually, and that the right person will be over her as a guardian if need be. Here we go. Many years ago, I was asked to take care of a woman. Somebody had mentioned to me that a lady needed a caregiver because she wanted to return to her home from a nursing home. She didn't want to stay in the nursing home. The gist of the story is that she had two daughters who could have taken care of her. One daughter did take care of her at one time, but they didn't get along, so she relinquished herself from taking care of her, or the mother fired her, whichever, or she left or quit, however it went. I can't remember. Two, she had another daughter who lived down the street. And I found that strange. You had one daughter taking care of you. You two fell out. She no longer was the caregiver. Number two, the second daughter lived down the street, didn't work. She didn't want to take care of her. So in comes Angela to be the provider. She did not want to pay the queen for the 2 days or so that I went to take care of her back to back. And I let her know that I am not a maid and I am not a free working caregiver. I have to eat and pay bills like the next person. This is my job. This is the job you hired me to do. I need my money and I want my money. Now, if you want to stay in the queen's good graces, pay me my funds and I can continue to work for you. So at this point, once I do not receive payment, I'm no longer interested in what's going on with you because it's not my responsibility. That's just the way it goes. The gist is that she had family to take care of her, but because she was known as a busybody, known to be a very vocal person, known to have a sharp tongue, there was nobody that stood in the gap for this elderly woman who was not mobile, could not use the restroom, could not stand up, could not walk, and could not bathe herself. Do you see where I'm going with this story? How you treat people can come back to bite you in the ass later in life. Two daughters. I'm not here to say I know what the relationships were. I'm not here to say who was perfect, who was not. But it told the story that there was nobody at the end to take care of her in her home. The reason why she was in the nursing home in the first place. She didn't want to be there. She wanted to come home. She had 2 daughters helping out at one time, but they fly away. One was living down the street at the time that I was hired, and she didn't come do a damn thing. End result, Queen did not go back after non-payment. She finally ended up paying me. One day she calls one morning needing someone to come change her diaper. I told her, I do not work for you. I no longer work for you. You will need to call the company that is providing your caregiver services. The caregiver didn't show up. I learned that the caregivers were not showing up to take care of the woman. And I already knew what the problem was because I'd already done it. One, she was a very heavy lady, obese. She couldn't shift either way, turn over either way. And then she had, massive movements. Okay. So naturally, that's a part of the job. But when you take a job, you decide if you like it or you don't. So when she was calling me, I already knew what time of day it was. The workers didn't show up because they didn't want to do the job for whatever reason. Okay. Now they're getting paid through their company. So they didn't have to deal with the issue I had to deal with. She was paying me directly cash. Okay. So there's the difference. But they didn't want to do the job. They didn't want to lift her, pull her, because it was hard trying to change the linen on the bed. She had, a hospital bed. It was hard to try to change the linen where she soiled the linen. Here you are having to try to push her, but you're trained how to put the sheet on and turn them over, then pull the sheet under to put the whole sheet on the bed, blah, blah, blah. But the point is she still was a heavy person. She was a combative person. She was very negative. She was very rude. Many people knew this. The person who rented her the house, had told me she was a very honorary person, hard to deal with in life. And possibly, this is why she's in the shape that she's in. And I believe that. So I could think of that story pertaining to Wendy Williams. Maybe she wasn't a nice person to people. Maybe she exhibited the same behavior you saw on the TV talk show, the rudeness, the callousness, the always, being messy and wanting the tea and the this. She was that way off the camera. And this lady, I think back to that in dealing with this and talking about this Wendy Williams situation, that you can burn bridges with people and you can get yourself put in a situation because of the way you walked in life. You're entitled to your opinion. Some could just say it's bad luck. Some could say it's poor decision making on Wendy Williams' part. You're entitled to your opinion. But the one thing that is true, you need to be very careful how you talk to people. You need to be very careful how you treat people and what you've done to people, because I do believe you can get the karma back. The universe is an interesting dynamic. Whether you believe in God, Allah, whomever, or atheist, whatever. The universe, as someone once told me, has to get it back. That rarely there are accidents. We meet people for a reason. We cross paths with people for a reason. Either it's for 2 days, a week, a month, however. Perhaps she is getting some of that back of what she dished out when she was up and happy and fruitful. I don't know. But as I said before, you have to be careful how you treat people and talk to people, because you don't ever know what situation you're going to be in. And what is sad, maybe sad to some, not sad to others, is the situation she got herself in. Because in the end, it is and was poor decision making. Because you're never going to know how things could have turned out for Wendy Williams had she not imbibed in alcohol, had she not used substances, and if perhaps she wasn't really taking care of her health. I don't know, because I'm not there to say, she went to doctor's visits or whatever, but one thing begets another. That's my point. And if you're not taking care of self, you can't expect a positive result. That's just common sense. I don't care who you are, millionaire, no millionaire. You have to take care of yourself. She was not doing that. So in the end, she brought most of these problems on herself. Now, she may not have asked for the Graves' disease. That was maybe something genetic, but that's the point I'm trying to make. If you're doing other things that are not conducive to wellness, better of health, you can't think that you're going to have a good, fruitful life. How is that going to be possible? Because like I said, she could have went downhill just with the health diagnosis she had with the Graves' disease. I don't know. See, because you can't say. But the other things she was doing, they did not help. And that was her choice, not anybody else's. That lady I took care of said something very derogatory to me about a relative of mine that was very nasty. And the first thing I said to myself, because I told her how I felt about the comment, I let her know she didn't have any right to say what she said to me, that it was out of line, and that I'm here to work as a professional to help her in her situation. Whatever was going on with a family member of mine that you think you know about has nothing to do with why I'm here to help you. And that told me everything I needed to know about her. And the first thing I thought, this is the very reason you're in this situation right now. You're sitting here, an overweight person who can't even crawl out of this bed to take care of yourself and better yourself and sustain health because you're ornery and you're rude as fuck. Yeah, that's how I felt, and I still feel that way. Now, never wish death on her, never wish a badness to happen to her, but my opinion of her is that she was a vile human being. And that's the reason why her children did not care for her in the end and were not there for my understanding at the time I last dealt with her. Maybe a year or two later, she passed away, from her illness. But how sad that was to be having children and nobody dealt with you except for other outside people. And what was sad is that the outside people even said, yeah, she was a mean lady. Even a high school friend of mine said, oh, I heard you were taking care of Miss Such and Such. That was very noble of you, Angela, because she was a mean lady. How terrible is that? To have relatives who could have been there, y'all could have had some type of good rapport, got along. And so that led me to believe she also was not a good mother. The reason why she didn't have a relationship with her children, 2 living children. She had more outside people, trying to aid and check on her, make sure she was okay. And I remember the homeowner had helped me at one time to get her bed changed. And the first thing he said to her was, what if I was not here? How would this lady have been able to change your linen? Since you can't sit up, roll over, blah, blah, blah. You can't even assist her in changing your linen. And he had a very good question. So you think about a random stranger coming in, looking at the size of the person. God forbid her tongue wasn't ripe. They probably said, the hell with it. We'll let her lie there in her waist. You understand what I'm saying? Because it happens all the time with caregivers and also in facilities. They know that people need changing. They know that people need their diapers changed. They need to be bathed, whatever. And they just let them sit there, either because they just don't want to do the job, or the person is not kind, when they go into the room. Each situation, is different. But there's still no reason to neglect a person because you signed up for that position. But my message to you is that you need to be careful how you treat people. Because you don't want to end up like that old lady who I took care of for just 2 days. You don't want to be in a world where people turn on you, your children, your friends, and family, because you don't know how to treat people. And in your dire need, you need somebody to help you up the stairs, take a bath, get into bed, change your linen, and there's nobody to help you. And even when the medical company sends somebody, they don't want to do it, and that's their job. And I'm sure Wendy Williams, in her lucid state, has possibly thought about, how in the world did I get to this position of not being able to take care of myself, have access to my own money, credit cards, have my son removed as my power of attorney. No one in my family can take care of me. Some strange woman I don't know, don't talk to, deal with is over my guardianship. I'm in some facility where I don't know people. We don't really know how she's treated there. If she's being abused, talked down to, properly fed, bathed, on meds, we don't know. And people can tell you anything. Just like the statement from the care team, like somebody said, who are you? We don't know you. We haven't seen you. Because people can tell you anything. Out of sight is out of mind. So you need to be aware of your faculties. You need to be aware of how you're treating yourself as far as your thought process, your reactions to things, what you imbibe, what you put in your body, your element, your environment, who you deal with, who you trust with yourself, your personal space, your money, your personal information. And you need to pray to God that you never get incapacitated to where you cannot take care of yourself. Rather, you did some of these things to yourself from your choices, or you just became ill. You better pray you don't ever end up like Wendy Williams. Because in the end, we all have a path to follow. And there are going to be things along that path that we have no control over, such as getting sick, getting ill, having an accident. You better hope there are people who are going to care about you and they're going to do right by you. Because as it has been said about this storyline, many people are in the shape that she's in, but you don't know anything about them because they're not famous. They're not wealthy, but they have payees, they have guardians over their personal being, and they are not being taken care of properly. And it's just a battle between them, who wants to fight for them, the judge, and the guardian. Thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream. This is part 2 of my discussion pertaining to Wendy Williams. When I get more information, I will bring you an update. Please check my community page for said updates, polls, and breaking news. And if you'd like to donate to this great network, $Big Angie 129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are always welcome during the live stream. Thank you for the viewership, new members, old viewers, new subs, those who came in the chats. The next live stream is pertaining to the young serviceman, a man who unalived himself, I believe in front of an embassy, and we're going to discuss that. And then I'm also going to discuss a situation of a grandmother who took the life of her grandson. Those will be my next 2 topics in the next live stream a little bit later. So come on back here and get your coffee and your hot chocolate and join the queen on this rainy day in the high 10. Sit back and relax and enjoy the conversation. Feel free to comment in the chat and also on my community page to the said information if it's relayed. Thank you so much, Hippie. You're welcome. Thank you, Lolo. Thank you all so much. Prayers to the family. Prayers for Wendy Williams. Whether you like her or not, or engaged in her commentary when she was on TV, prayers that there's a better solution and that she can regain some sense of self and lucidity if possible, because I do not know how much damage has been done to her brain and health. So prayers to the family and prayers for Ms. Williams. Thank you, sweetheart. You've been listening to the Vote XL. See you back shortly.